Brazen, naughty, serene. Beautiful curving crescents, elegant squares, narrow winding lanes brimming over with antiques and bric-a-brac. The Dome and Corn Exchange, linked by underground tunnels to the Prince of Wales' magnificent Royal Pavilion, with its intricate Indian design exterior and elaborate Chinese-influenced interior. Two long Victorian piers, a mile apart from each other, pointed like fingers out to sea, where people could stroll and take in the sea air, attend the theatres and restaurants, eat fish and chips, play the slot machines or sit lazily in deck chairs. For the more athletic, they could walk along the beach from the Palace Pier to Black Rock and swim in the Lido, and then ride the electric railway with its tram-like cars back to the Palace Pier. This is where war-weary Londoners arrived in search of relief from the terror and nightmare of the Blitz, and created an alternative home, often referred to as London by Sea. It was against this background that I grew up. With great sacrifices, my mother sent me to ballet and tap lessons. Sadly for her, I was never destined to be another Margot Fontaine, but she was enormously proud when twice I was selected to appear at the Dome in the annual musical festival. However, her thoughts of a dance career for me were brought to an abrupt end when I had to have an operation on my back, although I was secretly pleased. The highlight of my year was our annual visit to the Christmas pantomime at the Theatre Royal with its glorious Regency auditorium. I still remember the mounting excitement as I was settled into my seat, bolstered up on a pile of coats to afford me a better view. I was so lost in the world of make-believe that I was completely oblivious to the ice cream trickling down my arm, until caught in mid-lip, my mother reached over and, damping her handkerchief, wiped the ice cream from my face and hands. Because my uncle was a member of the cast, we were all invited backstage to see him at the end of the production. Entering through the stage door was like stepping into a different world. Men were busy sifting scenery, and huge piles of props and lighting were being adjusted. We had to squeeze against the wall when a rather stout lady, with a tape measure hanging from her neck and a costume looped over her arm, passed us muttering, "Stupid woman, I keep telling her she's not a size 12. The musicians were packing away all their instruments, and they joined the steady stream of actors and actresses, anxiously hurrying home to their beds. In the dressing rooms, the costumes I'd seen earlier in the evening now hung lifeless on coat hangers. I sat perched on a stool with my legs swinging, waiting for my uncle. I watched in awe as the actors removed their makeup. Chatting away, they dipped their hands into huge pots of cream and removed all traces of their pantomime character and were transformed into normal people again. Later, with the smell of grease paint still in my nostrils, I drifted off to sleep, dreaming of becoming an actress when I grew up. Whilst I continued to dream of becoming an actress, I became a Methodist in a rather unorthodox way. Following in the family's footsteps, I had been brought up to attend Sunday school at St Albans Church. I never enjoyed going to Sunday school, partly because the church was so dark and it always smelled strange and the services seemed to go on forever. At 11 years of age, I never knew why it was referred to as a high church, except that I knew it was a rather tall building. Sometimes I stayed with my aunt and uncle, who were devout Methodists, and would accompany them to church. I felt very grown up when the minister stooped down and shook my hand on our arrival. Whether it was winter or summer, it always seemed bright and airy. The hymns were lively and led by an amazing mixed choir, of which my uncle was a member. We sat on cushions and knelt on hassocks that had been embroidered by my aunt and other ladies in the sewing circle, and the whole atmosphere was happy and friendly. Sitting in the church one day, with my mind drifting during a long sermon, I gazed around at my surroundings. The sun streaked through the stained glass windows and threw psychedelic patterns onto the floor. The polished honey-coloured pews, the white walls and blue and gold embellished pulpit. And tugging slightly at my aunt's coat, I whispered, I want to stay here. I don't want to go to my church anymore. I'm sure the Methodist Church will be very disappointed to know that I became a member, not on religious grounds, but purely and simply on the ambience of the establishment.